This video reveals a fundamental truth about us as men, which is why do we lie? Okay, now let's get this clear from the get-go. This video is not about making lying okay or justifying it, far from it. But when we understand why and the dynamics behind it, we can cultivate our authentic masculinity, we can transform our communication, we can have deeper connections, right? So let's dive in. Men don't lie because we're false. We don't lie because there's something bad about men or wrong with masculinity. Far from it, okay? We lie because we've never been shown how to stand in our truth and our power amidst external challenges, and that could be or inner voices of doubt and confusion, okay? So the first reason, there are seven of them. Here's number one. Men have not been taught how to clearly ask for what they want, clearly and cleanly, right? So we've been conditioned as men typically to perform rather than express, like be a man, grow a pair of balls, step up, right? But no one knows what that means, right? No one's been really clearly taught until now what that absolutely means. So our desires inside us then often feel like a demand instead of an invitation, right? So we distort, we manipulate, we lie, right? So simple advice to heal this one, if this is you, is to start small, start asking for what you want without apologies, without justifications, right? Because your voice matters, your wants and desires matter. And if they come from a clear place inside you, they're not going to do anyone any harm, right? The second reason men lie is a fear of being unapologetic because it can be seen as being selfish or aggressive or insensitive. Okay, so instead of being in our truth and speaking it, we soften it until it's unrecognizable to ourselves or others. And this is kind of where the nice guy lives. It's right. That raw power's had its edge taken off or just been dumbed down or muted. So we know what this. If this is what you do, you need to remember that truth isn't violence. It's not the power inside that causes you harm. It's when it's distorted that it causes harm. And we have a whole other video on power distortion, right? So this is a call to embrace your truth and just say what you think and feel. The third is the reaction to our truth. So the third reason people lie or men lie, reaction, meaning if I say what I think and feel, I don't know how they're going to be able to cope. Or, this can get projected onto women a lot. I don't know how she's going to cope or she's going to be upset with me or upset if I tell her how I truly think and feel. So it's this desire to protect other people's feelings and therefore muting or changing what we think or feel. So we need to trust that people and the feminine can hold our truth and our power, because when you see potential in others, you give them permission and in an unspoken way in the field dynamic between you to live into it. If you see weakness, they'll live into weakness. So we have to see in people, we don't have to, but there's a call here there's an invitation to see more in others than they see in themselves. And therefore your presence and your truth becomes a source of inspiration and initiation and not subjugation, right? The fourth reason men lie is a confusion about power. So men have done harm with power and force over the last 6,000 odd years. So rape, burning, pillaging, taking by force, greed, power over abuse of, and on and on and on it goes, right? However, your power today is not that power from the past, especially if you get clear about this, okay? So we don't want to shrink or distort or hide because that gets icky for us and others, believing somehow that our safety lives or the lies create invisibility, right? Or safety lives in invisibility. It does not. So power is not force, it is coherence. It's centered, grounded, embodied presence. I have a whole video on this you can look at and look at the 5 ways we distort power and see which way you do, and then obviously heal and reclaim yourself. And the way we reclaim our power is by breathing into our presence in the presence, not the shame of the past, right? So you've got to stand tall in that. Fifth reason people lie is performance versus presence. So a lot of guys think they have to know all the answers, right? So society tells us that we got to know, we got to be able to figure it out, we got to have it, we got to know, be strong and lead, right? Be a real man. The problem is we don't. We don't have all the answers, right? And so one of the greatest things I've done in my life is learn to ask for help. So when I was a teenager, that would be school mentors. When I was in my 20s, martial arts mentors, chiropractic mentors, business mentors. As I've become safer and more vulnerable, I have a, tantric sex mentor. I have a parenting mentor. These areas that I'm supposed to know how to be a great lover. I'm supposed to know how to be a great father. What if I don't? What if there's things I'm missing, right? So the moment I go, I don't know, I'm open to learning more and I get more powerful and more present. But I have to admit where I'm at, okay? So we need to remember that being a man is good, but we don't need to perform and know everything, right? Being present is enough, okay? And that's vital. And I think it's vital that we do show up because this, if you've listened to my videos, you'll know I think that we need more masculinity in the world in an integrated, wholesome way, of course, and that male presence is the one thing you can't buy anywhere else. It's something that everyone is really crying for, is embodied, clear, clean, masculine presence. So the sixth reason men lie is there's no brotherhood to support them and mentor them or call them out, right? So we've lived in a world where our truth, or we feel like our truth, weren't welcomed. And so we've, rather than speak and own our truth, we've shaped it to fit external expectations or our internal expectation, meaning we have a false idea, a limiting belief, etc., and we've changed it. So we need to find spaces where we can be mirrored and mentored and go like, yep, I see you, you're on track. No, that feels icky. What's really going on? And this kind of thing, so we need to surround ourselves with people who uplift our authentic self. And if you haven't got people like that, join my group because that's what it's created for, right? We need this brotherhood. And the seventh and final reason that men lie is the fear of losing love. If I speak out, they're not going to like me. If I speak out, I'm going to be excommunicated from the group. I'm going to be abandoned, right? So we're not lying to gain power, but we're lying to avoid loss. Okay. And what we need to remember here, if this is the pattern we're playing out, is love is not built on distortion. That's dependency. Love is built on truth, right? The truth sets you free, right? And so we need to be able to love ourselves enough to speak up, love others enough to be authentic with who we are, show others who we are. That's what they're really crying for. So, summary, men don't lie because they're dishonest. They lie because they've never had their true feelings acknowledged, honored, mentored, and role models, right? So I see three major things missing in masculine education, if you will. Number one is a clear curriculum. Number two, of embodied rites of passage rituals as milestones along that curriculum. And the third thing is mentoring, guiding, and brotherhood to support your embodiment of it and to help you and to anoint you. Because the one thing all men and all boys are crying out for is another man who's further along than them going, I see you, you're enough. Or I see you, you need this to get this in place. Anointing, like a knight being anointed by a king, literally, to help them on their way. So now that you know this, okay, go watch the video on power because I talk about power dynamics and the distortion of power and how not to suppress it. And go watch the video on body language because I talk about, well, how do we embody it? How do we breathe this kind of presence into our body so that we can live it and not just think it, okay? And I hope that you found this inspiring. Please share it with brothers that you know need to hear it. And I look forward to seeing you in more videos soon.